Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Well, who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And he's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers, board-certified criminal defense lawyer. Welcome to CLR, Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Today we are reacting to a lawsuit involving Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow was at the Deer Valley Ski Resort. And before we get too far into the weeds, guess what? We are brought to you by eSign.com. Let's say you're a famous Hollywood actress, and you are out in Hollywood, and you can't be bothered with getting all the way out to Deer Valley, Utah, in order to execute some documents because you just can't do that. So what you do is you have your lawyer, whoever's got the documents, send you them electronically, and you e-sign them. eSign.com is an excellent way to remotely do business. I use it all the time for retainer agreements. You can use it for anything. For example, let's say you had a loved one in a nursing home and you needed a power of attorney signed. You can do it remotely. You just download the app, you get 3 free signatures a month, and it's an effective way to remotely do business. Guy by the name of Sanderson is suing Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow was out at the Deer Valley Ski Resort, and she was skiing. I think she was on the Bunny Hill, and she was with a ski instructor, okay? Sanderson claims that she ran into him and caused 3 broken ribs and a head injury, and he was originally looking for $3.1 million. This is one of the things about being a celebrity, which is kind of a hazard. You become a target. Oh, I have a deep pocket, so you're going to try to get as much fucking money from me as you possibly can. Well, he's modified that demand down to $300,000. It's kind of funny in a sense. So he sues her for basically he's modified his demand to $300,000. You have to prove your damages. You can't just say what your damages are. You have to back them up, whether it's medical, whether it's pain and suffering, whether it's loss of income from work or whatever. This guy was a retired optometrist, and she countersued because she said he ran into her and ruined her day of skiing, so she had to go to the spa, whatever she had to do. But what did she sue for? $1. She sued for $1 plus attorney's fees. Now, in some jurisdictions, you can get attorney's fees. Other jurisdictions, you can't. This is what she said. According to Paltrow's countersuit, she was enjoying skiing with her family on vacation in Utah when plaintiff, who was uphill from Paltrow, plowed into her back. She sustained a full body blow. Ms. Paltrow was angry with plaintiff and said so. Plaintiff apologized. Now, keep that in mind. Apologized. She was shaken and upset and quit skiing for the day, even though it was still morning. Well, if he apologized, number one, that's an admission of fault. But number two, if he's uphill, you got to watch out where you're going, right? And if she goes into his path, he's got a duty to, it's all about duty. These are negligence claims. So what do you have with a negligence claim? You have duty, a breach of duty, and damages, basically. So, and it has to be, and causation. You have to have causation. And causation it has to be proximately caused. What does that mean? All these fancy legal terms. Proximate cause just means foreseeability. So it's got to be foreseeable. And guess what? When you are on a ski hill, you are assuming a risk. What's assumption of risk? Listen to all these fancy legal terms that I know. Holy shit, he must be a lawyer. Assumption of risk is when you undertake an activity, let's say you go to the ball game and you get hit by a baseball. You're assuming a risk because you're in the stands. If you look on your ticket, it says you assume the risk for anything that might happen, like a flying ball. I ski race. Michael, show the picture of me ski racing. Yeah, that's me. Can you believe it? And I was out on the hill one day, and I'm just standing there, and this flipping snowboarder just comes crashing into me. That happens. It's going to happen when you're on the ski hill. So when you actually buy a ticket for the ski hill, you sign a waiver, but that's for the ski place. So so you're assuming the risk of anything that happens here, no matter what. It's not our fault because we're just providing the area for you to do. So you kill yourself as you slam into a tree because you don't know what the hell you're doing. That's on you, and you can't hold us liable. So you sign those waivers. That's why they had those waivers. But he didn't sign a waiver with respect to Miss Paltrow. And honestly, I think these kind of lawsuits are kind of silly in a sense. I think they're going after her because she's a deep pocket. But let's take a look at her lawyer as he talks here in open court.
Ladies and gentlemen, distracted skiers cause crashes. Defendant Gwyneth Paltrow knew that looking up the mountain and to the side while skiing down the mountain was dangerous. And she knew...
First of all, guess what I do every time? If I'm going into another lane, first thing I do is look uphill. Because if I'm carving a turn this way and I don't look uphill and some dumb shit snowboarder is coming, I'll go right into his path and I could get smashed. So that's not really true.
Skiing that way, looking somewhere else, blindly skiing down a mountain by looking up and to the side was reckless.
I can't believe this guy's got to look at his notes. Here's the thing. When I do a closing statement or an opening statement or closing argument, I like to look at the jury. I like to look in their eyes. I like to have my shit together. I mean, you don't see me looking at any notes right now. I'm talking off the cuff. You prepare, and how this guy can't just, rattle this shit off the top of his head is beyond me.
And she knew if she continued to ski that way, that it was not a matter of if, but when, by looking up and to the side.
Get to the point.
It was not a matter, she would crash into somebody below her, and someone would get seriously and permanently hurt.
Okay, this guy is not, when you tell a story, let me tell you a story. This one time I walked to the store, and when I walked to the store, I saw a little boy sitting on the curb, and the little boy was crying. And this little boy was crying because he couldn't find his parents. So I picked him up, I held him, he was all dirty. That gives you imagery, right? What is this guy doing here? Let me give you his opening statement for you, because this is so ridiculous. First of all, he shouldn't start out with Gwyneth Paltrow. He should start out with his client. This case is about his client getting injured. Mr. Sanderson, a 76-year-old retired optometrist, was out to have a beautiful day of skiing when Gwyneth Paltrow brutally collided with it. Whatever. You get my point. That you all of a sudden now you're thinking about him. You're not thinking about Gwyneth Paltrow. You got to, and he can't. He's got broken ribs. He's got a head injury. You start out with your client. You don't start it out like this and like read out of a folder.
She knew what she was doing was dangerous. She knew it was reckless, and
it's like he's reading out of a fucking children's book.
Well,
and look at her face there. She just doesn't want to be there. And you have to be careful with that, because if you're a juror, you see the disdain on her face. She'd rather not be there. See, a lot of these PI guys don't try a lot of cases, and I'm not going to really play much more of this because it's really painful to watch, to quite honestly. So this is kind of a lighthearted, kind of a stupid lawsuit, honestly, that should have been settled. $300,000. Give him a couple $100,000 and it'll go away. And I'm sure she has insurance. So this is a blip on her radar screen. She's worth like $200 million. Why wouldn't you just? But for her, it's probably the principle of the thing. She only wants $1, and she wants her lawyer's fees taken. But think about the time that it is taking from her. And I'm sure she's covered by insurance. She's probably got an umbrella. No question about it. And sometimes this stuff clogs up the courtroom, and I try a lot of cases, And so when I see a good trial lawyer, I will, laud him, because I think I can learn stuff from a good trial lawyer. I'm learning absolutely nothing from this. This is what, a minute 40 into it, and he's already lost our attention. Okay, so this has been our reaction to a lawsuit involving Gwyneth Paltrow on the slopes in Deer Valley, Utah. My guess is she's probably going to win. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. Sign up for Patreon. And we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts.
Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away.
23-hour lockdown, police is at my call.